Hello, beautiful people. I am so glad you're here. Welcome to your Spiritual Guru podcast. I'm your host and spiritual guru, Erin. I've been on my own spiritual journey for the past 2 years, and it's an honor to walk beside you as you navigate through your own. This podcast is for anyone who is wanting to do inner work, get more in tune with themselves, heal past traumas, and find their inner power. If that's you, then sit tight, because this is going to get deep. You ready? Hello, everyone, and welcome back. If you are listening to this on the day that it comes out, it is Friday. For me, it is Thursday, February 9th, and I am literally recording this episode like 4 hours before it has to drop. I was literally this close to not dropping an episode this week because this week has just been a lot. So for those of y'all who missed last episode, I had a birthday this past Sunday. So let me break down for you how this week has gone. Okay, so Saturday, the day before my birthday, I worked. I did a 24-hour shift, my normal shift, and then Sunday was my birthday. And then Monday, of course, I was recovering from my birthday. And then Tuesday, I worked another 24-hour shift. And then Wednesday and today, I get, those are my off days, but my daughter is sick. So, normally I would record these episodes during the day when she's at daycare, but she's been really, really sick with a fever and a really bad cough. And so these past 2 days I've been, comforting her, nursing her back to health, trying to at least. And then, today we had to go to the urgent care. She's okay. We're just trying to figure out what's wrong so that we can, get her better in a timely manner. But all of that has just led to this being hella last minute. And, I know I've said this for the past couple of episodes, this may or may not be a short episode. I really feel like I should stop saying that because every single episode that I say that it's going to be a short episode, it ends up being like 25 to 30 minutes long. But honestly, this one might be a short one just because it is so last minute. And so kind of what I wanted to talk about today segues into or has something to do with the week that I've had and just how I guess my willingness or my desire to still come up with this episode and this content for y'all, even though it was last minute, it's not planned, it is kind of spur of the moment. And the topic that I wanted to talk about today is attitude, right? So this topic actually came about on my birthday. I called my dad, of course he wished me a happy birthday, and somehow we got on the topic of attitude in this quote by Charles Swindoll, which I'm going to read to y'all in a minute. And he mentioned, he was like, this might be a good topic for, an episode for your podcast. And so he sent me the picture of the quote, because he told me that it basically changed his life when he was younger and made him, have a different perspective of things. So I'm going to read it to y'all. It is kind of lengthy, so bear with me. But Attitude by Charles Swindoll. It says, "The longer I live, the more I realize the impact of attitude on life. Attitude, to me, is more important than facts. It is more important than the past, than education, than money, than circumstances, than failures, than success, than what other people think, say, or do. It is more important than appearance, giftedness, or skill. It will make or break a company, a church, a home. The remarkable thing is we have a choice every day regarding the attitude we embrace for that day. We cannot change our past. We cannot change the fact that people will act in a certain way. We cannot change the inevitable. The only thing we can do is play the one string we have, and that is our attitude. I am convinced that life is 10% what happens to me and 90% how I react to it. And so it is with you. We are in charge of our attitudes. And so when my dad was talking about that quote, he made this connection and this point that he said that he would change the word react to respond. So instead of life is 10% what happens to me and 90% how I react to it, it would be 90% how I respond to it. And I kind of agree with him on that, because when you think of a reaction is almost second nature. It's that fight or flight type of energy, right? It's that it comes from a very emotional place. Whereas when you respond to something, it's more calculated, it's more thought out, it's more intentional. Okay? So I really liked that point that my dad brought up, because I think that's really valid. You know, everything, and I've said this so many times before on this podcast, things are going to happen. You can't control other people, what other people do, say, think, act, what have you, but what you can control is yourself. And I've had so many instances of that in my now 30 years of life. And mainly it comes to light more when I think about my past romantic relationships, right? So, you know, the idea of like, oh, well, this person, you know, treated me badly, so I'm gonna go do this to them, or this is how I'm gonna get revenge, or, you know, this is what I have planned to do, and I'm gonna do this so he, you know, does X, Y, and Z. And it's like, for me, I never saw the point in that. Now, that's not to say that years ago I may have been in that vengeful, you know, revenge state, but now I have the feeling of, one, that type of mentality and energy does nothing for me. It doesn't serve me or benefit me in any way. And two, that's giving energy to something and someone that, one, has shown me that they really don't give a fuck about me. So what does it matter what I do, say, think, whatever towards them? They're not going to care either way. But then that also comes back to me. It's like, okay, yes, they were crappy towards me. They said this to me. They did this to me. That's on them. You know, like I always said, like, what people do, say, think, act, whatever towards you is their karma. What I do is mine. And so that goes into the whole 10% what happens to me, 90% how I respond to it. Because, yeah, crappy things are going to happen to you. Life happens. There's going to be stressful moments. There's going to be chaotic moments. There's going to be depressing moments. There's going to be sad moments. There's going to be all kinds of things happening to us in our lives. But when we stop and think about it, sometimes we make situations out to be a lot bigger and have more meaning than they actually should. And I know y'all can relate to this. I know you know what I'm talking about, because think of it this way. Have you ever gone through your day and it started out good, any normal day, and then some big inconvenience happened? And, you know, you get to work or you're talking to a friend and you just tell them, oh, I've just had such a bad day today. But did you though? Has it really been a bad day? Or has just something bad or inconvenient happened to you, but now you are making it your entire day? You see what I'm saying? Or, just thinking about basically making a mountain out of a molehill. You start your day, something inconvenient happens, or, yeah, that's what I meant to say. So something inconvenient happens, like, to start the day. Like, maybe, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example. Maybe your alarm for work is late or something like that. Like, your alarm didn't go off, now you're late to work. So you're already starting off on a bad foot, right? And then you get mad about that. You start rushing. You're in a bad mood already. You're irritated. You're angry, what have you. And then you're making your coffee. You bring it with you to work or wherever you're going because you're in a hurry, right? And then your coffee spills on your outfit. Now your outfit's like, have you ever had those days where it's just like Murphy's Law, like anything that could go wrong would go wrong? But I think, just like I always say, everything is energy. So in that first moment where your alarm didn't go off and now you're late to work, pay attention to your conversation with yourself, what you tell yourself in that moment, what you tell yourself about the kind of day you're gonna have. And I know, because I've heard this all the time, especially at work. We'll be, in the firehouse, and tones will drop and somebody will say, oh, well, I see what kind of day it's gonna be. It's almost like a foreshadowing, like you're putting that energy into the universe. And so in that first moment of that first inconvenience of the day, what energy are you putting into the universe for the rest of your day? You see what I'm saying? Like, that almost, I feel, attracts more negative energy, attracts more inconveniences, attracts more struggles and anger and frustration and all of that, because of that first conversation you had with yourself about how this was going to go. And so, perfect example, like I said, there was almost not a podcast this week because of everything that has been going on this past week. And I could have said, oh my God, it's the last day that I could, record this podcast. I'm so tired. Like, I've done so much today. Like, I haven't even showered. I feel disgusting. Like, this has just been, a hectic day. There's no way that I can record this podcast. Or, which is what happened, I could stop and say, well, wait a minute, Erin. Your daughter got seen by the doctor. She has her medications. She's asleep now. She's down for bed. The house is clean. You've done the dishes, the laundry, your dinner is cooked. Everything is fine. You have nothing else to worry about or do except this podcast. Everything else is done. To me, that's a blessing, because it's like, I've checked all the boxes. Literally, the only thing that I have to do is sit here for maybe 15, 20 minutes and record this podcast, right? So it's all about perspective. It's all about how you look at things that are thrown at you. And I can go on and on about this, because you can take this lesson and apply it to so many different instances in your life. But it all boils down to, shit is going to happen. Everything is not going to be roses and sunshine and butterflies every moment of every day. And you have to decide in that moment how you're going to respond to it. And how you choose to respond will dictate the energy that you're putting out into the universe, therefore the energy that you receive in return. So, like I said, this one was a little bit shorter than my previous episodes. I try to keep them between like 20 to 30 minutes, just depending on the topic. This one I feel like is going to get around like 15 minutes. Still almost there, but a little bit shorter than I would like it to be. But like I said, this was last minute, but I did want to come on here and just give y'all something. I feel like someone out there needed this message today, and so I'm really happy that I was able to, get out of my head and just push through it and sit down and record this podcast for y'all. So I really hope you enjoyed it, and until we meet again, namaste.